what's the difference here in McNeil's approach since the second half of last season?
Well, Sal, he's really seeking damage in a way that he maybe didn't earlier on when he was kind of the batting average whiz. He's hitting the ball a lot more in the air, pulling more in the air. His launch angle numbers are wonderful, and he's right now he's got his I think it would be a career high slugging percentage, .532. So he's really, instead of being the guy who is looking to sneak it through the infield over here, maybe hit a humpback liner over here, he's a guy who's looking to put big swings on the ball and really create some noise, some thunder. It's working. I mean, you know, we're sort of all over it right now. Will he be pitched differently now that this has kind of taken root? I wonder if that will have any effect on it. But it's great stuff right now, for sure.
Yeah, I think sort of what happened with McNeil is sometimes your bat-to-ball skills can be too good, and you end up putting bad pitches in play. And what happened was in 2022, when he was that batting champ, guys, the teams were still shifting him, and he was able to beat the shift. But the reason guys don't hit for high average these days is because that's just not the most productive way to approach offense in modern baseball. Defensive positioning, even with the limits on the shift, is really, really good. People have this debate about Luis Arraez all the time. Everybody knows he has a super high batting average. And then, you know, like stat heads like me will come in and be like, you know, he's actually not that valuable of a player. Because here's the thing, like having a really high batting average but not having a lot of slug just isn't that effective of a profile in modern baseball. You will get stranded at first base. It is tough to sort of put together enough hits for that to be super valuable. And it's also just tough to get on base, just putting the ball in play, like if you're making weak contact. So he is doing the thing where you're kind of you're selling out for some slug, you're sacrificing the batting average for power, but that's what effective people do in modern baseball.
I think what's really interesting about McNeil, too, is that we all know that he has elite bat-to-ball skills. He might go out there early in the count and really look for contact. We've said, and he said last night in his postgame, that he's looking to do more damage on the ball. But when we look at the stats, you know, the exit velo isn't higher, the barrel isn't higher, but the sweet spot is higher. And what that tells me is that he is using those bat-to-ball skills, but he's also actually seen the ball really, really well so that he could time it perfectly. Even watching his foul balls the past few days, it looks like you can't throw anything by him. I mean, he sees a foul ball with a pitch that he doesn't want, he hits it foul, and, you know, that's allowing him to stay in the at-bat and stay competitive. So I think it's really just him seeing the ball well, pairing that with the elite bat-to-ball, and then also doing damage on it.
And when he's on, he could be a difference maker at the bottom of the Mets order. All right, Liz, we talked earlier about Juan Soto. What have you noticed about Soto understanding the moment?
So last night's game, I will not stop going on and on and on about the eighth inning. His two-strike approach was absolutely masterful. He ended up choking up on the bat. You can see that a little bit. And that shows that two-strike where he's not looking to actually hit a home run to tie up the game in that moment. He's looking to hit a hard hit, move the guy over. And he knows that he has Pete Alonso, who's hot right behind him. So him being able to put all these pieces together, use that moment, and just make really hard contact for a hit, that is what needs to be done in that moment. And against a tough lefty with high velo like that, that's extremely impressive.
Yeah, before the game, people were asking Nationals manager Dave Martinez, who obviously managed Soto for a really long time and knows him super, super well. He was like a father figure to Juan in Washington, D.C. People were asking him about sort of what's changed. What are you seeing from Juan? And he said that when they saw the Mets earlier this season, that they were making some bad pitches to him that he was not doing damage on. He was like, we got away with some pitches, and now you're not getting away with pitches. Because that's right. It goes back to almost what we were talking about with Jeff McNeil, which is choosing the pitches to try to do damage on. And that's something Juan Soto is great at when he's effective.
I think one thing that he's been doing this season that's been really impressive is with all the noise around him, and there has certainly been a lot of chatter about body language. You know, you need to smile more, Juan, all that kind of nonsense by the amateur psychologists out there. And he has sort of, you know, taken his own approach and just kept going with it. Like, he still gets his walks. He leads the majors in walks. He has more walks than strikeouts. He never got out of him. He may have been, you know, having some bad luck on some of the batted balls that he had because he was still making insane contact. But he never said, you know, well, I got to swing at everything because I got to make a big hit here. You know, I've got to strike and do something to stop all this, the cacophony. Sal.
Don't know what that means, but I do know this. Juan Soto wasn't looking comfortable or himself. You could tell that by the shuffles. Once you started seeing the shuffles against Chicago, the rest is history. And now you can't get away with a mistake. Right, Mackenzie Gore? All right, Liz, how does this Mets team compare to the 101-win team that you were part of in 2022?
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of similarities here. I think that there's a lot of depth at different positions, but we also see small upgrades at different points. So, for example, the fourth outfielder is not the coolest position to talk about, but compared to Travis Jankowski, who's now with the Mets again in the minor leagues, we're seeing upgrades there. So I think that the Mets have the luxury of having too many good players at times. If we talk about if everybody were to stay healthy over the next few weeks, where are certain guys who are coming back from the IL? Where are they going to go? So the luxury of having too much depth or too many good options. But something that I see that's really important is that some of those guys like the Beatties, Vientos when he's healthy, they are playing the way that we want them to now. And so there's more power throughout the lineup. But there's also a player for every single position in every situation. So being able to see Acuna go into pinch run last night, I mean, having a guy that you can just get off the bench for that situation, that's huge. And so just having each piece there, I think makes it really exciting and maybe a bit of a deeper team than 2022.
Yeah, I like the 2022 team, until mid-September-ish, I'd say. I love this team, and they are loaded. To your point, they have a player for every situation on the baseball field where it wasn't quite the same in 2022.